What if I told you that the key to turning your life around lies in the ability to treat your life as if you're the CEO of a company? Just imagine becoming the CEO of you, taking full control, setting goals, leading yourself to success. Today, I'm going to map out that kind of lifestyle and how it might be able to affect your life for the better and see if that resonates with you. Let's dive into it. What's up, everyone? Eric Allen, founder of Life Absolutism, back with you today talking about becoming the CEO of yourself. Now, sounds a little weird, right? What does that even mean? Become the boss of myself, maybe run a rigorous schedule, run myself into the ground, maybe just be hard on myself, beat myself up. But no, there's a lot of aspects about being the CEO of your own life that you could really wrap your head around and that would benefit you in the long run. But let me tell you, if you're not the type of person who wants to run yourself, who wants to push yourself, then I wouldn't recommend even going this far. There's a lot of ways that you can get yourself on track without pushing yourself to the extent where you would be like a CEO, because with behaving like a CEO comes a high amount of accountability. And if you're not willing to face accountability for some things, meaning you accept results and you change outcomes, if you're not willing to do that kind of thing, then this video is just not for you. However, if you are the type of person who wants to adopt a CEO mindset, who wants to learn how to create this personal vision, set clear goals for themselves, manage their time better, delegate certain tasks, surround yourself with the right people, invest in your personal development and make changes, and most importantly, if you're not the type of person who's willing to learn from your setbacks and your failures, pivot and continue forward, this might not be for you. But if you are that type of person, if you are the type of person who wants to learn how to run yourself better, then this video is definitely for you, because I'm going to be able to share a few points of things that you can actually do in your life, things that are easily within your realm of control that will turn your life around in a matter of months. So let's get into it. Let's start with number one. All right. And this is going to be the easiest thing, and that is adopt a CEO mindset. Now, when I say adopt a CEO mindset, what does that actually mean? Well, that's pretty easy. CEOs, they're visionaries, right? They take ownership of their organization. They lead their organization to success. That is exactly what you have to do. If you're not willing to lead yourself to success, meaning to outline certain things, to pave a path forward, to move forward with intent, if you're not willing to do that, you're not willing to apply the CEO mindset. You're not willing to become that person. It's a very important thing that a CEO gets in charge of a company, or they step up to that plate and they start paving a path forward. They create this path, they create a goal, a list of goals. They start going after it. They map out the future of that company and they start taking steps to get the company toward that goal. That's what you need to do. You need to be the CEO who takes full accountability for their actions and for their outcomes. And you have to be the type of person who jumps into this reactive mindset, right? To be a proactive person, to plan your life like a business. That means sometimes getting down into the minutia. That means sometimes being very explicit about the things that you're controlling about your day-to-day lifestyle. So if you find that, measuring things in a quantitative way helps you to better understand things, then do it. If you need to break things down and say, hey, I've spent X amount of hours today on entertainment, on scrolling social media, when I should have spent X amount of time working on my business and X amount of time doing that other stuff, right? It's a great thing if you have an iPhone. I don't know if Androids do this, but iPhone will actually release a report every week telling you what your average screen time was. So a lot of times you actually get to see, and sometimes I'll see a number that drastically startles me. And I'm talking like 6+ hours a day. Now, am I actually scrolling on my phone 6 hours a day? No. Am I sitting there reading news, going through Instagram? No, I'm not doing any of that. What I am doing is I'm listening to podcasts. I'm turning on YouTube videos while I walk around the house, while I clean, while I'm at the gym, and I just let them play. So, of course, the phone's going to stay on that entire time and it's going to reflect a high amount of screen time, right? But you don't need that. You don't need to do that. You need to be the person who holds themselves accountable and your time. So if you're having trouble doing that kind of thing, it's easy enough to just map out a plan. And if you need help with that, of course, you can always reach out to me and I'll help you map that plan out. Next thing that we're going to talk about is creating a personal visual statement, right? And what does that mean? Create a personal visual statement. Well, that's pretty easy, right? Just like companies have this mission and vision for their future, you also need to define a vision for yourself. You need to define what your vision looks like going forward. If you have this idea of the person that you want to be, the place you want to be a year from now, you have to be able to clearly define that, write it out. That's why they tell you visualization is such a strong exercise. That's why they tell you before you go to bed, first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is tap into that visualization center, right? That is supposedly the time of the day when your subconscious mind is at its most creative point. That's when it's at the point where your day body, your conscious mind is at its minimum and your subconscious mind is ready to launch, or it's in its very, malleable state. So before you go to bed, you can sit there and you can focus on that dream board. You can focus on the goal board. You can have everything up on this board, even just get yourself some kind of gallery function, some gallery app. I have something on my iPad where I can sit there and I can throw a bunch of pictures together and I can actually create a collage of pictures of things that I want to see, right? It's just like your vision board. You want to be able to see yourself in a certain point or in a certain position. That's what you need to focus on. That's what you need to do is set your goals forward, focus on going forward, focus on what it is that you want to achieve, and start mapping that out. So you need to create this vision, and more importantly, you need to define what that vision is. It's not enough to see it in your head. You actually need to draft something to be able to remind yourself of what that goal is. Sometimes we think that we're ready to go one direction. We think that we're ready to go after this goal, only to find out that we often lose visibility of that goal because we forget the things that we put, the little, we'll call them milestones that you lay out in front of you to calibrate whether or not you're making successful steps or you're taking successful steps toward that goal. So if you're going to create this vision, a lot of times what you have to do is you have to define what your ultimate goal is. What values guide your decision? What can you do to get yourself there? You have to be very explicit. That's one of the things that a CEO does with a company. They have their set of goals, they have their set of objectives, and what they're doing next is they're going after that by defining a path forward. That needs to be you. You need to be the person who says, okay, by the time I get to December 31st of 2025, this is where I want to be. In order for me to be there, I need to accomplish this, and write it out. Get a dry erase board, get some kind of app on your iPad, get something where you can actually have some tangible form of evidence where you can see yourself crossing things off and moving forward, moving this needle, this progress bar forward. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is setting clear goals. Now, we kind of just talked about that with creating a personal vision statement, but setting clear goals is the way that you're going to break your life into actionable, measurable steps, just like KPIs or key performance indicators, right? You need to look at the steps of what it takes. So let's just say you want to build yourself up into being able to run a marathon, and you're going to map out, a 6-month plan where for the first month, maybe 2 months, you're going to focus on, 3 days a week running 1.5 miles, walking 1 mile. And then, from weeks 2 to 4, you're going to increase that distance to 3 to 4 miles of running and 1.5 miles of walking associated with certain times. You have to define a way forward. You have to have a plan. And every one of those weeks that you're moving forward toward getting into that marathon shape, you're going to be increasing what you do. You're going to be increasing these steps. So yeah, are you going to be using the 1.5 miles at run 2 miles and walk 1 mile at month 5? No, by that point, you're probably running 10 plus miles at a time. And let me tell you, as a former runner, if you can run 10 miles, you can run almost any distance, all right? Because it becomes more mental than anything. But back to setting clear goals, all right? This is where you're going to track your progress regularly and you're going to adjust your approach as needed. One of the things that I actually recommend is that if you get a dry erase board, something large, something I have like right above the computer, what you can do is draw out that line, map out those 6 months, map out those 12 months, whatever it is that your plan is, map it out. And here's something that you can do that's really simple is have those milestones along the way, right? But use post-its. Use post-its all you need. Like fill that thing up with post-its. It's almost like a project management board, right? You're creating a very linear scale of what to do, what goals to set up, what milestones to hit. And then along the way, you might identify, hey, today I did this and this was really great. Ooh, today I did that and that was not so good. That set me back another day or two. So what you can do is you can fill up this timeline with post-it notes, right? You can do everything on a computer digitally, so that way you can carry it with you at all times. But the most important thing is the ability to track that progress. You want to be able to track that progress and you want to be able to shift and calibrate your focus as needed, depending on the outcome of each week, each month, each day, each year, whatever it is. Okay. So the biggest thing is set these goals, map out how you're going to reach it day by day, week by week, month by month. Keep it small and manageable. Keep it like eating an elephant, small bites, right? A lot of consistent small bites will add up. Trust me on that. The next thing we're going to talk about is time management and delegation. Now, I can tell you that I attended a course for the Army, the Warrant Officer School, back in 2008. And they run you, just like a lot of military schools, they run you through the ringer, enforcing and inducing stress on you on a daily basis. And a lot of it just seemed nonsensical. It seemed ridiculous. If anything, it only served to annoy and irritate us most of the time because they were just hammering us for no reason. Like we actually had to be out of bed. Everyone had to have their beds made, right uniform, teeth brushed, downstairs, full canteen of water within 7 minutes. It's things like that. And 7 minutes sounds like a very, very doable task. 7 minutes sounds very manageable until you're tripping over another 150 people just to get out the door and get down. You're bouncing off of everyone. You're trying to share these 4, 5, 6 sinks amongst the entire group of people. Everyone's running around. There's just chaos. And in the beginning, it seems very chaotic, but toward the end, you just have it down. By the time we'd finished 6 weeks, we had everything down. And that's the point you need to get yourself to when it comes to time management and delegation. You see, CEOs, they prioritize tasks and delegate effectively. In your life, this means you have to learn to say no. And I know that's a strange concept for some of you because some people just allow the world to just roll over them. But you can't be that person. If you're the CEO, you have to lead with authority. You have to lead your life with intention. If you're going to be the type of person who can't say no to certain things, become the type of person that it takes to learn how to become the person to say no to things. You cannot get through everything that you need to do by saying yes to everyone. Sometimes you just have to deprioritize checking email first thing in the morning. Sometimes when you're walking in somewhere and somebody says, hey, can I get a ride over here quick? You say, hey, look, I got things to do. Can you ask somebody else? There's nothing wrong with prioritizing yourself. Of course, don't be that guy who 100% of the time when people come to them always gets a no. Don't be that guy, but be that guy who finds balance. If it's going to be worth your time, it's got to be worth your time. If you're working on other things, just the way it is, you're working on other things. But when it comes to time management and delegation, use tools, use calendars, use planners, use apps to structure your time. There are so many things available to you today to help you organize your day, your weeks, your months, your years. So don't turn away from those things. Again, even a dry erase board, you just want to have something where you can measure everything out. And if you're going to use something, make sure you do it in a very effective way, okay? So how does this tie together when we're talking about saying no and using tools and calendars and planners and everything else? It's because you're delegating and you're managing your time. Right? You want to map everything out. You want everything to be very visible, very easy to digest for you. And you want to stick to that as hard as possible. You want to stick to that in a very rigid way. If you tell yourself that tomorrow morning, by the time it hits 11 o'clock, you need to accomplish this, this, and this, and there is no compromise. You need to accomplish those 4 things. Otherwise, you will fail your overall goal. I don't know. Whatever it is, you need to accomplish those 4 things by 11 o'clock. You cannot let things stop you. You cannot not say no to other people when they try to disrupt that process unless it's an emergency. You cannot not delegate. You can't afford to not delegate some things that might be within your realm of control to delegate. You know, if you have somebody that works under you that can easily take a piece of the pie that you're dependent on that morning for a short-term task so that you can focus on big picture stuff, do it. Use that person, use those resources. Today, there's so many resources available online. I'm not even going to go into what some of those websites are, but there are plenty of freelancer websites. So if you're focusing on big picture, let somebody else handle the small minutia stuff. Your job is to stay on track. Their job is to help you stay on track. Does that make sense? The next thing that I'm going to talk about is investing in personal development. Now, this should be a pretty easy one. This is a no-brainer for many of us, right? But think about what that means, right? Invest in your personal development. If you want to become a new version of yourself, if you want to become something that you are not today, you need to develop skills that you do not possess today. That's a pretty easy concept to wrap your head around, right? So do yourself a favor over the course of the next few months. If you're working on these goals, if you're working on moving forward, if you have this version of yourself that you want to become, start reading books, start investing in classes, start becoming that person who consistently builds on top of their skill day after day after day. We've all heard the saying that no matter how smart you are, no matter how skilled you are, you'll never be able to outwork consistency, right? Consistency is key. So be that type of person. Be the type of person who's just day in and day out, always taking small steps forward. You really need to look at life and your goals as an elephant, right? In eating an elephant, we do it one bite at a time. I know, I use that analogy all the time, but that is exactly the case. You need to take small bites. You need to take small steps. You need to prevent yourself from becoming completely overwhelmed by the process. And the easy way to do that is just be small and consistent. But when you're going to be small and consistent, you need to use small consistency to develop your skills, to build on yourself, to invest in yourself. So start taking that class, start reading those books, start going to the gym a little bit more each day or each month. Build on top of what you already have. You have the foundation. You're already a foundation. Start building on yourself. Because I guarantee one thing, the version of yourself that you're picturing in your head, the person that you want to be, the person that you are not today, who you envision becoming in the next year, you do not possess the same skills today as that person does then. So that should be an eye opener, right? That should be a wake up call. Start developing those skills, start working on yourself, start investing in your personal development today. And if you need help with that, let me know. I'd be more than happy to help map out a plan for you. But next thing we're going to move on to is celebrating the wins and learning from the failures. All right. Never, ever get too big for yourself. Never get to the point where you can't overlook the flaws, where you can't overlook the setbacks and the mistakes that you made. Never get to the point where you think that you're perfect. Never get to the point where your ego doesn't allow you to believe that you do nothing wrong, because you do. You make mistakes, you fail at things, you experience setbacks, things don't go as planned, and that's perfectly normal to experience. But what you need to do is when something does go right, celebrate it. Don't be loud, don't be boisterous about it, but celebrate that win. Give yourself a high five, give yourself a pat on the back, put another post-it on that board, but move forward with that success carrying you, giving you a little bit to fly off of, just giving you a little bit of jet fuel there. But when you do experience a setback, allow yourself to process that setback. Allow yourself to take in what it was that you did wrong, analyze it, and figure out a new path going forward, how you're not going to do that. So just imagine going through the woods. You come up to a Y intersection. You could take the right path, you could take the left path. Maybe you take the right path, you go down that path, and it's nothing but obstacles. It's nothing but a dead end after like 200 yards. Well, now you've learned your lesson. When you come back to that Y intersection, you're not going to choose the right path again. You're going to choose the left path. And it's because the experiences that you've been taught by taking that right path. That is a lot of what life is. That is a lot of what success is. You need to look at the success, you need to look at the right answers, and you need to analyze the wrong answers. All right, that's it. That's really all there is to it. If you're going to treat yourself like a CEO, if you're going to become the CEO of your lifestyle, you need to start operating like that person. And to recap on those things, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to adopt the CEO mindset. That's absolutely essential. Start thinking like that person. Start operating like that person who's very much in control of their lives, who's very much in control of their actions, their outcomes, and they take full accountability for everything that does and does not go well. All right. Create that personal vision statement, set clear goals, manage your time, and delegate tasks when you have the ability to delegate tasks. Don't always be the person who says yes. Don't always be the person who takes their own goals, who takes their own plan and puts it on the back burner so that you can address someone else's issues. Learn how to let people help you. Learn how to let people in to make you capable of doing what you need to do to move on to that bigger vision while they handle the small peanuts. All right. That doesn't mean push your work off on somebody else. But if you're in a position where you can hand off the small tasks, the small tedious tasks to somebody else to handle, whether it be a freelancer or someone who works for you, do that so you can focus on big picture. Right? Build your team, invest in yourself, review and adapt. And then, of course, celebrate your wins and learn from your failures. All right. If you don't review the things that you're doing right and reflect on the things that you've done wrong, you're doing it wrong. That is not CEO mindset. That is you operating like you today. And you don't need more of what you are today. You need more of what you want to become in the future. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me, lifesabsolutism@gmail.com. Or if you want to sign up for coaching, then you can follow the link in the description below. Have a good day.